ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितं हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपीशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि पञ्चकल्पाद्यरूप्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभयेव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा हरे राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा
Shashwin, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Leading us through the Mangalacharan. So today we are going to have a very exciting class. We are on Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 3, and Karma Yoga, and we are going to be doing text 16. And among us, I'd like to really welcome Param Gopal Prabhuji with us. Prabhuji, thank you for joining us in this group, very small group.
Hare Krishna.
But very keen devotees over here, aspiring devotees. Just a brief introduction, Prabhuji. Prabhuji started coming to the temple in 2001 and got initiated in 2012 and have been happily engaged in book distribution, Sunday feast, cooking, and any other services he can offer. He is His Holiness Radhanath Maharaja's disciple. His mother was initiated also by His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami. So we are very fortunate to have him amongst us. Prabhuji, I'm recording this. Is that okay? I'm recording this class.
Yes, Mataji, no problem.
Okay, we have a YouTube channel and we put all our classes, especially when they are done by external people, so that people can revisit them, and those who have missed can also have a chance to view them. Okay, Prabhuji, I'm handing it over to you. We've just done the Mangalacharan.
Hare Krishna. I was told by Mansinganga Mataji that one of the devotees is going to read the shloka and the translation.
Okay, Prabhuji, that's the
we need them to also participate.
Thank you, Prabhuji. That's our format. We read the shloka 3 times, 3 different people, and then we do word to word, and then we read the translation, and then we do the purport. So we continue with the same format, and then after the purport, we'll invite you to give your reflections. Okay.
Thank you.
Vivek Bharadwaj, will you be able to read the shloka today?
Hare Krishna Mataji, you can hear me?
Yes, Prabhu, we can hear you.
Yeah, we are on text 16:16.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, let me start. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Evam pravartitam chakram. Is this the one?
Yes. You read the whole text. The next 2 readers will read this.
Okay. Evam pravartitam chakram nanu vartiya yaha agharyur indriya yaramo मोघम पार्थ सा जीवति. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prahlad, can you please read the first line? We'll follow.
Yes, okay. Evam pravartitam chakram
Evam pravartitam chakram
Chakram
nanu vartayati ha
nanyu
Nanuvartayati yah
aghayur indriya ramo
agayurendriyaramo
mogham partha sajivati.
mogam
Mukam partha
sajivati.
sajivati.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prahlad, that was good. Diya, is it possible for you to try better?
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Evam pravartitam chakram
Evam
Evam
pravartitam chakram
pravartitam chakram
nanuvartayati haya
nanurvartayati
pravartita
aghayurindriyaramo
Ahayurindriyaramo
ayurindriyarama
mogam partha sajivati.
mogam
partha
sajivati.
sajivati.
partha sajivati.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Arjun, can you read the word-to-word translation? And when you are reading, kindly switch on your video so Prabhuji can have a look at you and then you can switch it off.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Evam
Evam
das
thus
pravartitam
pravartitam
established by the Vedas.
established by the Vedas.
Chakram
Chakram
cycle.
cycle.
Na
Na
does not.
does not.
Anuvartayati
Anuvartayati
adopt.
adopt.
Here
Iha
in this life.
in this life.
Yaha
Yaha
one who.
one who.
Agahayu
Aga ahyu
whose life is full of sins.
whose life is full of sins.
Indriya armaha
Indriya armaha ramaha
satisfied in the sense of gratification.
satisfied in the sense gratification.
Mogham
Mogham
uselessly.
uselessly.
Partha,
Partha,
O son of Partha.
O son of Partha.
Arjuna. Saha
Arjuna. Saha
he.
he.
Jivati
Jivati
lives.
lives.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Vishal, is it possible for you to read the translation? Please switch on your video.
Yes, sure. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Translation. My dear Arjun, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice, thus established by the Vedas, certainly leads a life full of sin. Living only for the satisfaction of the senses, such a person lives in vain. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Now the purport can be read by two people. So, ISKCON Eldoret, please, can you decide among yourselves? You can start reading the purport, and when you are tired, the second person can take over. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
The Mormonist philosophy of work very hard and enjoy sense gratification is condemned herein by the Lord. Therefore, for those who want to enjoy this material world, the above-mentioned cycle of performing yagya is absolutely necessary. One who does not follow such regulation is living a very risky life, being condemned more and more by nature's law. This human form of life is specifically meant for self-realization in either of three ways, namely karma yoga, jnana yoga, or bhakti yoga. There is no necessity of rigidly following the performance of prescribed yagya for the transcendentalists who are above vice and virtue. But those who are engaged in sense gratification require purification by the above-mentioned cycle of yagya performance. There are different kinds of activities. Those who are not Krishna conscious are certainly engaged in sensory consciousness. Therefore, they need to execute pious work. The yagya system is planned in such a way that sensory conscious person may satisfy their desires without becoming entangled in the reaction of sense gratificatory work. The prosperity of the world depends not on our own effort, but on the background arrangement of the Supreme Lord, directly carried out by the demigod.
Therefore, the yagyas are directly aimed at the particular demigods mentioned in the Vedas. Indirectly, it is the practice of Krishna consciousness, because when one masters the performance of yagyas, one is sure to become Krishna conscious. But if by performing yagyas one does not become Krishna conscious, such principles are counted as only moral codes. One should not, therefore, limit his progress only to the point of moral codes, but should transcend them to attain Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, over to you.
Hare Krishna. Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Very audible.
Usually Mansi Ganga Mataji usually asks me to speak up a bit loudly, kind of a soft-spoken person.
We can hear you perfectly, Prabhuji.
Thank you so very much for inviting. Yeah, so, thank you so very much for inviting me to this wonderful association of devotees. You may use the word aspiring, but we all are aspiring till the time we don't reach the final destination. It's a journey we're all going through. So it's very inspiring for me to see quite a number of devotees joining from different age groups. So I can see some are very fortunate to start this process when they're probably 8 years, 12 years, 16 years. And in my case, I joined in pretty late. So, 6 years is the youngest. Wow, that's wonderful. Actually, that's the right age to start this process. Prahlad Maharaj says, Kaumaram Achram, so 5 years. Kaumara is 5. When you're 5 years old is when you actually should start bhakti. So I have this wonderful program. It gives each and every participant a wonderful opportunity to connect with Krishna. The word yoga, like what we are reading today is karma yoga. The word yoga itself means to connect. The process of connecting is called yoga. Unfortunately, today, yoga is just understood as Ashtanga yoga, as various postures to keep your body fit so that you can enjoy more sense gratification. And unfortunately, that is not the purpose of yoga. Yoga is to connect, and the best way to connect is to connect with Krishna, with the Creator. Then we are making a proper connection. Otherwise, we have wonderful experiences in this world, how networks get disturbed, people don't get Wi-Fi in their houses at times, they're standing out in the farm, they can't connect to a mobile service provider. So all the connections which are there in this world, whether political or technological connections, we find all of them have a very, very, very big failure rate. But the most successful connection which we can ever make, and Srila Prabhupada is mentioning in his purport, and very clearly he's talking about human form of life. And this human form of life is where we can make this connection with God, with Krishna. So looking at the scene which has been set prior to this 16th verse, more emphasis Krishna is giving on how one can connect using karma yoga. And I will not go through the purport in chronological order, but I will try and see how we can connect one point to the other. Prabhupada is talking about sacrifice and the purpose of Vedas. The most important purpose of Vedas itself means knowledge. So the purpose of knowledge is to know the person who has given you the knowledge. And to know Krishna means to love him. Just knowing is not enough. You need to develop your love for him. So in this part of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is explaining to Arjun that, why don't you try doing work for me? My will is that you fight. So in that way, he's trying to convince Krishna, he's trying to convince Arjun that he must not give up his duty. His duty is not just being a Kshatriya that he has to fight, but his duty as a devotee, as a friend, is to listen to his friend and act on his behalf. So we can see in the beginning of the purport, Srila Prabhupada is talking about performing various types of yagyas. Now these sacrifices, which are quite a number of them, like, which have been mentioned in the Vedas, depending on the level of a person's consciousness. Like in the case of Grahasthas, there are 4 or 5 major yagyas which one is supposed to perform. The first one is called Brahma Yagya. The Brahma Yagya means one must study the scriptures every day, morning and evening. Then there is Deva Yagya, where fire sacrifices are offered for the pleasure of the demigods. Then there is Pitri Yagya. In Pitri Yagya, prayers and offerings are made to the ancestors. Then there is Vishwadeva Yagya, in which there is offering of food to the fire, as well as to a householder is not supposed to eat till the time he has offered to various people who live around him food, and then only he can accept food. These are very different, very many different types of yagyas which have been prescribed for yagya. Srila Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport is to come to the point of this Krishna himself. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is also talking about karma yoga, jnana yoga, or bhakti yoga. So these are, he's saying, like, in the human form of life, it is the whole purpose of it is to, human form of life is specifically meant for self-realization in either of the 3 ways, namely karma yoga, jnana yoga, or bhakti yoga. So why are these 3, like we know Krishna, how can one realize God? Because God has got some characteristics. He's full in 6 opulences. We know those 6 opulences. But he has 3 features which are very, very important And those are three levels of understanding of him. So the very first is Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat means the eternal aspect. Chitta means the blissful existence of Krishna. And Sat is the eternal aspect of him. Chitta is about the knowledge of him. And then Ananda is the blissful part of it. So Karma Yoga, a performer of Karma Yoga can come to that level of understanding the Sat, the eternal aspect of the personality of Godhead. Chitta Yoga, Chit means kind of understanding that no, this is not, this is Sat, this is Asat. He can make differentiation between what is eternal and what is not eternal, what is mortal and what is immortal. So he can come to the level of
Prabhuji,
the
sorry.
chit realization, the knowledge aspect of
Prabhuji,
yeah.
sorry, your voice is coming and going.
Yeah,
It's
Mataji.
fading away.
Yeah.
I think there is a network problem, Prabhuji. Maybe if you switch off your video, maybe then it might be better. Kind request, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Can you hear Chit and Ananda, the three aspects of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, have been given very clearly over here by Srila Prabhupada. The Sat aspect can be understood through the process of Karma Yoga. The Chit aspect can be understood through the Jnana Yoga process. And the Ananda, the blissful part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, can be understood through only Bhakti Yoga. So it's like looking at the sun. Srila Prabhupada always gives this wonderful example of the sun. You know, by understanding the all-pervasiveness of the sunshine, that is one aspect of understanding. You may not see the sun, but you may see the brightness, the light, the heat, and you can understand the all-pervasive aspect of the sun. So that is like the Sat part of the realization of God. Then the Chit part, when you see the sun disk, then you understand, yes, the sun is there. You have, so that is the Chit aspect of understanding the personality of Godhead. Then we have the Ananda, the personality who is there residing within the sun planet. Very inconceivable for our tiny little brains that how can something exist in the sun planet, which we understand is billions and billions of miles away, and it is still so hot. During summer, we can actually experience the heat of. But just as there are in the air, there are living entities on the land, there is a specific body which has been made by which people even in the sun planet. So understanding the personality of Godhead, the Ananda part of it. Srila Prabhupada says very clearly in one of his lectures that, you know, people talk about work very hard and enjoy sense gratification. But if we ask, do you like to work? I will find it work. And if he likes to work, probably he's got his own agendas, own criterias to meet. That's why he says, "Oh, I love to work," and forget about just working hard. Wow, it is so difficult working hard. I mean, people are doing it, but nobody loves doing it. Actually, it is just said that, "Oh, work very hard and enjoy sense gratification." Actually, Prabhupada always compares and says that, a washerman's donkey is working so very hard. He is just the example of that person who thinks by working very hard, you can enjoy sense gratification. Srila Prabhupada wants us to work hard, but not for our own personal sense gratification. So it's very important for us to understand, yes, we have to work hard in, like we have to study. As students, we have a very hard to get good grades, then get a job, work hard, take care of the family, business, all those things are there. But apart from all those, how can we connect those? Once a medical student had asked one of our ISKCON sannyasis that, we don't even get any time because we have such voluminous books to read. How can we be Krishna conscious reading all those books? So a very nice answer was given to that student that you study your books with all your intelligence and with all the presence of mind you have, but then you connect it to Krishna. When you get good grades, you thank Krishna. It is His mercy that you have got good grades. You use your qualification in the service of Krishna. So all those, years of studying very hard, what you have done is you have connected to Krishna. So another point over here in the purport, which I found very interesting, was on why people need to perform pious activities. Those who are interested in sinful way of life, one may say, "Oh, I'm a very pious person. I don't perform any sins." But even in the very small daily routine chores which we have, something like cooking, we are performing so many. We're killing so many living entities when we are cooking. The fire in which we're burning or cooking food, right now we have gas, we have microwaves and all, but still there are various living entities which are getting killed. We may step on an insect, or we may lizards. Fortunately, nowadays we don't see much snakes in the cities, but we are killing so many living entities in the process of our daily chores. How can one get rid of this? Not only getting rid of, so are indebted to the demigods, because somebody's providing rain, somebody's providing sunshine, somebody's providing wind. And it is, Prabhupada is very clear in his purport. He says that the prosperity of the world depends not on our own efforts, but on the background arrangement of the Supreme Lord, directly carried out by the demigods. So these demigods are in charge of various activities, and they are directly giving us what has been allocated to us in our quota of goodies, you can say. Not exactly goodies, but whatever we need for our maintenance of our daily lives. And that's how prosperity of the and doing all this. We can just a very current example we have is the COVID-19 virus. How the whole world has come to a grinding in some parts of the world because come out of your house. And so many countries have been affected by advancement which we think we have made, but there's no cure to this. There is no way people are able to avert this. And Srila Prabhupada very clearly says, we may think that we are making advancement, but we are not making it. In the early 60s and late 60s and early 70s, when Srila Prabhupada had gone to the US. So in US, in then they not just one highway, they used to have double deckers, triple deckers, four deckers. So basically, nature is giving us a challenge, and we are overcoming that challenge. and we think we're making advancement. Actually, it is struggle for existence. We are not actually making any advancement. Or there is an illness which has come. We're looking for a cure, and we think we have made advancement. It is just actually doing. We're not making progress as such. Even though it may look like, having skyscraper pigeonholes and double-decker, triple-decker highways, super highways and all. So Srila Prabhupada was very, very categorically mentioning that the prosperity of the world does not depend on our efforts. And the whole purpose of all these yagyas and sacrifices was to come to the point of becoming Krishna conscious. Prabhupada says, indirectly, it is the practice of Krishna consciousness, because when one masters the performance of yagyas, one is sure to become Krishna conscious. So the culmination of all the yagyas should be to become Krishna conscious. And it has been made very, very simple in this age of Kali Yuga. In the various ages, eras which have been there, like there was a golden age in which the yagya, the principle of yagya, or for that era was meditation. Then came sacrifice in the Treta Yuga. Then in Dwapar Yuga, it was deity worship. Now in Kali Yuga, chanting of the holy name. So and we are very fortunate in Kali Yuga, we can get the result of what the previous ages people were really working so very hard to perform those yagyas, meditating 3,000 years, performing fire sacrifices was not an easy and cheap activity. Then in the Dwapar Yuga worship, and then in Kali Yuga, it's just chanting the holy names. So by chanting the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, we can get the very same benefit. But there's a way of chanting this holy name also. And by chanting this holy name, we can attain all the benefits of the various yagyas which have been mentioned in the Vedas for different ages. And Prabhupada is saying we need not just come to the standard of moral codes. So I'll try and explain this, what exactly moral codes are. Srila Prabhupada says, for Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishyas, and Sudras, these are the four classes of people in the society, and it is in every society whether people agree to it or not. Brahmana are the learned class of men, Kshatriya are the administrators, Vaishyas are the business community, and Sudras are the gens serve these above three categories. That's the prerequisite to be a learned Brahmana. Then Kshatriyas, he has to fight. If he's been challenged to fight, or he's been challenged to a game of gambling, he has to. So there are different codes which are there, moral codes by which different classes of people in the society are supposed to abide with. Like we can see in Mahabharata. Mahabharata is the Pancham Veda. There are 4 Vedas, Rig, Yajur, like that. There are Ayur and Samaveda. There are 4 Vedas, and the 5th one is called Mahabharata, Pancham Veda. In the Mahabharata, Yudhishthir Maharaj. Now, Yudhishthir Maharaj is known to be an honest and truthful person. So in Mahabharata, when Yudhishthir Maharaj was asked by Lord Krishna that why don't you go and tell that Ashwatthama is dead? And Ashwatthama was the elephant in Maharaj Yudhishthir's army. And Krishna was asking him to go and tell Dronacharya that Ashwatthama is dead. So Yudhishthir Maharaj said, should I specify which Ashwatthama is dead? And Krishna said that, no, you just go and say Ashwatthama is dead. because Dronacharya, if he wouldn't be grief ridden, he wouldn't be lamenting for his son, he wouldn't be killed. It was very difficult to kill him if he was completely sober, not bewildered by any sad news like his son is dead. And Yudhishthir Maharaj, he was like, oh, I'm a Satyavadi, I'm a person who is honest and who is truthful. How can I go and lie? Now Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom all the laws come about, he is asking you to lie. And Yudhishthir Maharaj didn't want to lie. So immediately his chariot, his chariot used to always be above the ground. It used to never touch the earthly plane. It, for the very first time, touched the earth. And Yudhishthir Maharaj was surprised. What happened? Krishna said, why don't you go and give this? So with great reluctance, Yudhishthir Maharaj actually went and told Dronacharya, and that's how Dronacharya was then killed. Another example is Bhima. In the battlefield, one day, I think it's Karna or Ashwatthama, they shot a Narayana Astra. When he shot that Narayan Astra, it was devastating the whole battlefield. All the soldiers were getting their limbs severed, and quite a number of them died. And this Narayan Astra was causing havoc all over, and the Pandava army was running helter-skelter, wondering what to do. And everybody's turning towards Krishna. And Krishna said, there is only one option. So Krishna ordered the entire Pandava army, drop your weapons down. Now, these are Kshatriyas. They've come on a battlefield. Their only way is to either kill the enemy or get killed and get heavenly planets. But here Krishna is ordering all the soldiers on the Pandava side, drop your weapons down. And all of them drop it down. And Krishna says, fall on your feet, offer obeisances to the Narayana Astra. Now, this is the power of offering obeisances. And everybody did that. But now one person was standing and he didn't want to give up. He didn't want to actually surrender. That's Bhim. Now, Bhim stood and Krishna actually had to wrestle him down, that you please lie on the ground. And that's when the Narayan Astra cooled itself and went away. So we need to understand, having our agendas, having our moral codes, having all those things in place, are we really developing love for Krishna? Developing love for Krishna means we need to abide by his instruction, abide by his way of, which has been described for us, how to live our life, how to develop our love for him. So we shouldn't get just caught up in this moral codes and say, oh, I am doing this, I'm doing that, and I'm worshipping this, I'm worshipping that demigod. No. Krishna, the whole objective of giving this instruction to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita is for him to overcome all those impediments which have been there. And it's difficult. I'll give one more pastime where Krishna is actually showing Arjuna, that what exactly devotion means. We have been thinking that the Pandavas are the topmost devotees of Krishna, at least in Dwarka and in Hastinapur, in that sense, sorry. But okay, if we see in Vrindavan, there are the gopis headed by Srimati Radharani. They are the topmost of your devotees of Krishna. But there is another king by the name Mayurdhwaj. Now, Mayurdhwaj is also a very wonderful devotee of Krishna. And this is mentioned by Srila Rupa Goswami in Nectar of Devotion. He tells the story of Mayurdhwaj. Mayurdhwaj, he was such a king that in his assembly there were no other discussions, only Hari Katha, only discussions of the qualities, pastimes of the Supreme Lord. And he was completely absorbed in that. And he had a son also. One day, in their kingdom, there was a sacrificial horse which came, and on the head of the sacrificial horse there was a challenge that you accept Yudhishthir as your emperor, or otherwise you need to fight with us. And to fight, the person who is walking around with that horse is no other than Arjun. And we know what a hero he has been by the grace of Krishna in the whole battlefield of Mahabharata. So Tamardhwaj is the son of Mayur Dhwaj. He actually stops that sacrificial horse and challenges Arjuna for a fight. His father doesn't know. His father is busy in the assembly, royal assembly, listening to pastimes and like glorifying the Lord. And here Tamardhwaj has fought with Arjun and defeated Arjun. And Arjun is he's like, my God, what happened? And the sacrificial horse. And Arjuna is lamenting and crying out, Krishna, what happened? Why? So much so that even Krishna appeared there and told Arjun, don't worry, I have actually arranged for you to understand some higher principles. And if you want to, then I will take you to the assembly of this king Mayudhwaj. There you try and understand what happened and why it has happened to you. And Arjuna was lost for words. He says, how can this mere kid defeat me? I have been victorious in the Mahabharata, in that battlefield by your grace. What happened? Why could he defeat me? And Krishna said, he is the son of Mayurധ്waj. And secondly, he is not opposing to my devotional service. He's not a demonic person who is envious of me. So there is little I can do about this. But I have arranged in this pastime for you to learn something else. And Krishna takes the form of an old and takes Arjun as his assistant. And they go to the court of Mayur, performing Harikatha. He's enjoying the various pastimes. And Tamardhwaj comes and says, Father, today I have done such a great work. Uh, you will really be very happy to know what I have done. And Mayudhwaj says, what have you done? He said, I have stopped and conquered this sacrificial horse. And who does this horse belong to? Maharaj Yudhishthir. Immediately Mayudhwaj, he's like, this horse belongs to Yudhishthir Maharaj, and you had the audacity of stopping it. Was there. Oh, this horse was affected by Arjun, and I defeated his head and my son. What? These are the topmost devotees of the Lord. The Pandavas, how could you do something like this? And the son was no less of a devotee than his father. He said, my only intention was to get Krishna to step his foot on our land, in our kingdom. That's the only reason, because I knew if I am going to defeat Arjun, Krishna is going to come to his help. And that was my intention. And as they are having this discussion, Krishna walks in with Arjun in the guise of an old and a young Brahmana. And Krishna says, "O king, I have been completely devastated. I was passing through your kingdom, and there is a lion which has taken my son captive. And I wanted to get my son alive. And there's a proposition which has been put by the lion that I don't know if you can give me that kind of a benediction." And Mayurdhwaj says, "What do you want? I am competent to give you anything and everything you ask for it." And the Brahmana starts teasing him, saying, "No ways, it's not possible for you. You can't give that." And Arjun is standing watching all the fun, the drama which is taking place over there. Krishna is instigating and telling Mayurdhaj, you can't give. And Mayurdhaj says, here, he collects water in his hand and says, Mayurdhaj, I am I'm promising, pledging that I will give whatever you ask. Please ask whatever boon you require. So Krishna, in the guise of the old Brahmana, tells him, uh, the only way this lion is going to give my son back is if you give half of your body. And Mayurdhaj is like, oh, immediately take it. The king's son, Tamardhwaj, and other ministers, they wanted to actually beat this Brahmana up, saying, how can you demand such a thing from our king? You are not a Brahmana. You are a butcher. How can you do this? And Tamardhwaj wanted to actually fight this old Brahmana, who is Krishna in the guise of that old person. Mayurdhaj says, no, I have promised I will give my body. Oh, that is just the first part of it. The second part is the prince, Tamardhwaj, has to actually chop you into half. And Mayurdhaj says, oh, what is the difficulty? Do it. Tamardhwaj, how can he cut his own father's head and body split into two and give it to this old Brahmana? Mayurdhwaj sits down and compels his son, chop me into two. Now, this is, you can say, dharam sankat, what to do, what not to do. The son is there and he's being ordered to slit his father into half. And Mayurdhwaj forces his son, and he's trying to press the sword on his head. The head starts bleeding. And that's the time Arjun, who has come as that young Brahmana with the old one, who is Krishna, he says, stop it. Please stop it, stop it, stop it. Krishna, please stop it. I have seen it. What devotion means, what it means to be your devotee. So far, we have been thinking that we are your devotees. We have always prayed to you in our difficulties, and you have come and saved us. But here we are seeing for our own self how your devotees don't even care about their own body. They don't even care about what are moral codes. They are ready to execute your will, your way of life. And that's what real sacrifice means. So I think, I'm not sure how much time we are left with. 1 second.
Prabhuji, 10 more minutes left. We can probably take questions.
Oh, yeah, we need to keep time we can take questions. So basically this pastime which I have told about Mayurdhwaj also is for us to understand that, yes, the whole purpose of sacrifice what? Sacrificing our interest in the best interest of serving Krishna and his devotees. So if anybody has any comments or questions, we can take that.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I think people can ask their questions, but I can ask to start. Before we joined today, the new recruit to our group, I'm the oldest recruit and she's the youngest recruit. We both have the same problem, and that was attentive chanting. So she was asking me how to do attentive chanting. I also have that problem. So Prabhuji, if you can enlighten us. Prabhuji, you can put your video on now because you're not talking for a long time. Maybe it will help.
Okay.
Okay, Prabhuji, so we needed some...
regarding attentive chanting, Srila Prabhupada used to be asked by his devotees, when I'm chanting, my mind is taking me here, my mind is taking me there. And Srila Prabhupada said, why do you have to involve your mind? For chanting, there are only two things required. One is the tongue by which you take the name of Krishna, and the other is your ear. And that's what is required. The process of chanting is about attentively hearing what we are chanting. Yes, the mind will definitely the mind will definitely want to go here and there. But the whole process is how to bring it back. Krishna is inside our
Prabhuji, Prabhuji, we can't hear you. I think video.
how to bring the mind. It was a very wonderful. Yeah, you can hear me now?
Yes, Prabhuji, please answer again because we didn't hear.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the duty of the functions of the mind are of thinking, feeling, and willing. So the mind will think about this or that subject. That is for sure. Even when we are chanting, it's not just a problem which you are experiencing in, like, in your first few years or first few months or first few days of chanting, but we just need to endeavor and continue. We need to endeavor and continue to attentively hear. The whole process is about hearing the holy name. So we need to understand that the more attentively we are going to hear, the quicker we are going to be able to relish the holy name. Like Srila Prabhupada says, when a child is sick, the parents give him some medicine. So it is not necessary for the parents to know what is the medical composition of the medicine. The child may have no faith in the medicine. The child may not know what the medicine means, like, how it's going to work. The parents also may not know. They're just having faith in the doctor. So similarly, the holy name is so powerful. Whether we understand the holy name or we don't understand the holy name, whether we know how it works or we don't know how it works. So holy name is going to have its effect just like that medicine. So it is just a matter of being determined and perseverance, that yes, I need to take this holy name because this holy name is what is going to purify my consciousness. And Krishna will be pleased by our endeavor. It is not the number of rounds that we are chanting, but it is the quality of our endeavor that we are trying to attentively hear. Let the mind run wherever it wants to run. Bring it back. Bring it back. Tell him to listen to this holy name. So the most important thing is to continue chanting it, whether we really enjoy or we don't enjoy. The whole purpose of our spiritual life is not to find enjoyment. It's the purpose is to give enjoyment to Krishna. And Krishna will enjoy our endeavor in trying to become Krishna conscious.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dia, who asked that question, has another question. Dia, can you please ask your question that you've put on the chat?
Hare Krishna.
Hare
My
Krishna.
question is that is following Krishna the same as following Lord Vishnu?
Okay, your question is following Krishna the same as following Vishnu? Okay, that's a good question. And many a times devotees are confused about who is Vishnu and who is Krishna. Like if we see the Pranam mantra for Tulsi Maharani, originally the Pranam mantra is addressing to Vishnu Bhakti Pradayini. So we are looking at uh, who is more superior or who is more original. Yeah. So Krishna is the original supreme personality of Godhead. From Krishna comes the first expansion, which is Balram. And then from Balram comes the first Chaturvyuha, which is Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and Vasudev. And then from that comes the secondary Chaturvyuha, and from that comes Garbhodakshay Vishnu. Now, Garbhodakshay Vishnu is at a very, you can say, 10th or 11th in expansion of Krishna. So in principle, Krishna is the source of Vishnu and not the other way around. Krishna is the supreme Vishnu, and worshipping Vishnu is, worshippers of Vishnu are also called Vaishnavas. That's why they are called Vaishnavas. There's no harm in worshipping Lord Vishnu, because he has taken on the honors of maintaining this world. Like there are three forms, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. So Brahmaji's purpose is to create the universe. Then to annihilate, to destroy this universe is the purpose of, or the function of Mahadev, of Lord Shiva. But the most difficult part is to maintain. Those of us who are maintaining families or a society or any business, they understand to start a business or to do some work, to start something is not that difficult. To stop it is much more easier. But to maintain something is the difficult part. So Lord Vishnu does the maintenance part of this creation. But Krishna, he doesn't need to do. There was one Muzungu, you can say a foreigner who had come to India, and while he was visiting various temples, he went to some temple for Kali Mata. He went to some other temples here, there, Mahadev temple, and then he finally came to a Krishna temple, and he saw Krishna is playing on his flute. He said, "He's God," and everybody was like, "How do you know he's God?" He says, "He's the only one who's just playing and enjoying. Rest everybody has got a weapon. They're doing some work, but this guy is not doing any work. So he's God." You know, I was listening to Srila Prabhupada in a recent lecture, and Srila Prabhupada said, for Krishna, he has got no other work. He just dances and enjoys with his friends, with his sakhis, with Radharani. But for us, in our case, we have to work. So we are not God. So Krishna is that supreme personality of Godhead, from whom Vishnu is coming also. So Prabhupada also gives a good example of candles. There is an original candle. Then from that original candle, you may light another 100 and thousands of candles. But all the candles have the same power. They illuminate with the same intensity. But there is one candle which is the original candle. Now that is Krishna. Then out of those very many hundreds of candles, we have Vishnu also. So it is better to worship Krishna knowing that he is this original candle. I hope that answers your question.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Are there any other questions? I know it is 7 o'clock, but I'm sure Prabhuji will not mind overrunning for 10-15 minutes.
Kritika, it's not 7 o'clock here, it's 7 o'clock for you. For us, it's 9 o'clock, okay? By the way, Param Gopal, she is our host, but presently, for the last, 4 days, she's in UK, 5 days. I wanted to add, Param Gopal, very nice explanation on Vishnu and Krishna. Besides Vishnu being the maintainer, he's also the three forms of Mahavishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and Kshirodaksha Vishnu. And I think one time I did explain, but our Kali Yuga brain cannot retain much. So Vishnu, maybe you want to just, like Kritika says, another 10 minutes won't hurt anybody. You want to explain a bit on that?
We are most welcome for some more.
No, you do the explanation.
Some more questions on the Kshirodaksha.
Very bad, Parivartan.
Should
Living in
we
a
take
posh place, you don't have good
other
Wi-Fi
questions?
system or what? Parivartan?
I think I have a good Wi-Fi system.
I think
Maybe
I
I'm sitting
always
in the
felt
wrong
it
place. I'm sitting
probably. Who, me? No, Kritika also was.
On my side.
Yeah, I think you have to. Anyway, today is almost ending. but it's really cracking and, going off. I thought my iPhone always does this, but now I realize it's not me. When Kritika said, do you have to switch off? Because seriously, I couldn't hear. I thought it's me, but when Kritika said, I was very happy it's not just me.
It was a
Over.
confirmation. Okay, so we can take one or two more questions.
Any questions on the group? Okay, I think everybody is satisfied with the explanations and their understanding. I will now hand over to Path Prabhuji.
Then can I thank Parivartan? He's come as Parivartan Param Gopal. I gave him hardly any notice, and I'm so indebted that he agreed. It's so sweet because a lot of people say, oh no, it's too late, is this, is that. And tomorrow he has a program. I said, please sacrifice, they have a big program tomorrow. So he's actually sacrificed his time to be with us. So we have to. And because we are Eldred group, I know he's not going to like it, but I'm going to say all these beautiful chairs you sit on, this creamy color, not for the last 6 months, was donated by by Param Gopal. And just I asked him once, and next he says, don't worry, Mataji. And they were here. So it's Param Gopal. Haribol.
Haribol, Haribol. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. You have made our life very comfortable.
I'm happy to be of service anytime.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Over to Path Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Param Gopal Prabhuji. His Grace Param Gopal Prabhu ki jai. I'm just giving the introduction. Already Mataji told. Param Gopal Prabhu is a senior devotee in ISKCON Nairobi, and he is a very sincere and senior congregation also. The same time he's doing his job, and the same time he's a lot of responsibility in ISKCON Nairobi, like our people, the elders are doing. Param Gopal Prabhu in all the time in festival, any other function, because the temple means there are so many functions, so many festivals. Param Gopal Prabhu take a very responsibility and very big charge, great charge to perform his seva during the festival and the day-to-day temple programs. I thank you very much, Param Gopal Prabhuji, for your devote your time today to Elder Group. We are so grateful to you. Also, the same time, just I'm giving a simple hint about the Diya's question, the worship between the Krishna and the Vishnu. Already giving example by the explanation and by also all the scriptures told Krishna, Ishvara Parama Krishna. Okay, Krishna is the fountainhead of all the incarnation. Although there is no difference between Krishna and Vishnu, like Vishnu is the Ansavatar, the explanation. Okay, but the Vishnu form is the official form, like he's the maintainer. So he is in official form, and Krishna is like our parents, but a parents who is in a judge. We cannot sit, we cannot talk like a friendly, we cannot relate with him like that. Okay, in the court, like the court position, in the official position is a Vishnu. So devotee cannot like so friendly with Vishnu because it's the official form. Okay. But in Krishna, you can see the cows are with him, the Gopika are there with them, the Gopal Balak are there, Nanda Jashoda are so there. So many things are there, so we can relate very many ways with Krishna, not only Vishnu, not to Vishnu. So the devotee is thinking that he is always engaged himself. He is always try to please to God, to serve God. To whom to serve? Who is related? So Krishna is relating to the devotee. So devotees specially to worship the Krishna. They are offering their obeisances there because there is no difference, but he go for the Krishna. So in Gaudiya, in Sanatan Dharma, this our sampradaya, or Prabhupada or all the acharyas directed or instruct to us to worship Krishna. So it is a more easy. Hare Krishna. Now it is time is over. I think it is a more just as I'm just giving my explanation. It's a realization.